What if you only had 1 hour to start a digital product business? Today, I'm going to show you 3 beginner-friendly digital products that you can make in that much time, and people are already selling these successfully online. I'm designing all of them from scratch so you can see just how simple this actually is. The first digital product beginners can create is printable wall art. Wall art is actually one of the most common digital products sold online because it's simple to create and people are always looking for artwork to decorate their homes, offices, or even give as gifts. If you look on marketplaces like Etsy, you'll find thousands of printable wall art listings, and many of them are selling really well. So when I'm starting a design like this, one of the first things I like to do is look for inspiration. I'll usually go on Pinterest and browse different wall art designs just to get an idea of the style, layout, or typography that I like. I'm not copying any of these designs, I'm just using them as inspiration to spark ideas for my own design. One of the easiest types of wall art you can create is quote-based wall art. So all you need is a good inspirational quote, a nice font, and a clean layout. What's great about this type of product is that once you create one design, you can easily create multiple variations. You can duplicate the design, change the quote, adjust the colors or fonts, and suddenly you have a whole collection of wall art designs. When creating printable wall art, you can design it in multiple size ratios. One of the most common is a 2:3 ratio, which covers sizes like 4:6, 8:12, 12:18, 16:24, 20:30, and 24:36. There are also other ratios like 3:4, 4:5, square ratios, and even ISO or international paper sizes like A4 or A3. I'll put all of those on screen so you can see the different sizes they cover. For this example, we're going to design using the 2:3 ratio since it's one of the most common ratios used for printable wall art. When designing something that people will print, the standard resolution is 300 dpi, which means 300 dots per inch. This ensures the artwork prints nice and sharp. Because of that, many designers create their artwork at the largest size in that ratio. So for the 2:3 ratio, the largest common print size is 24:36 inches. When we convert that into pixels at 300 dpi, that becomes 7,200 by 10,800 pixels. So inside KITTL, I'm going to create a new artboard that's 7,200 by 10,800 pixels, which will keep the design high quality even when printed at different sizes. For the design, I'm going to start by finding a newspaper photo to use as the background. Once I add it to the artboard, I'll lower the opacity to around 40% so it becomes more subtle and doesn't overpower the design. One of the great things about KITTL is that it already has paper cutout letters built into the platform. If you go to add text and scroll down, you'll see a section with paper style letters that you can use. For this design, I'm going to write the phrase, "You got this." I'll just find each letter one by one and place them onto the artboard to create that cutout magazine look. Once all the letters are in place, I'll tilt them slightly so they're not perfectly straight. This helps give the design a more natural collage feel. To finish everything off, I'll go into textures and add a paper texture overlay to reinforce that newspaper aesthetic. And that's pretty much it for this wall art. From here, you could easily duplicate this design and swap out the quote to create more variations using the same style. You could sell them individually or bundle them together as a set. This design probably took me about 10 minutes to create, which is why printable wall art is such a great beginner-friendly digital product. Before we continue, I just want to quickly mention the tool that I'm using for all of these designs, which is KITTL. If you've watched my previous videos, you probably already know that I use KITTL a lot in my design process. One of the things I really like about it is that there are just so many design variations and tools inside the platform that I don't really find anywhere else. If you're not familiar with KITTL, it's basically a graphic design platform where you can create things like digital products, branding assets, social media graphics, and a lot more all inside one place. And honestly, there are so many things you can do inside KITTL that it's kind of crazy. One of my favorite things about KITTL right now is their branding capabilities. If you're building a brand for your shop or your business, you can literally design everything inside the platform. For example, this design here was created by an artist inside KITTL. This is the original layout they started with. From here, they used KITTL flows to generate different visuals from that same design. So from a simple design like this, they were able to turn it into something like a coffee pouch in a real-life setting, which is really cool. And it doesn't stop there. You can also create KITTL videos, which means you can take a design you already made and turn it into a video. Another example is this one where they started with a simple logo and packaging design and then used KITTL to visualize it on things like shipping boxes, aprons, coffee cups, and takeaway carriers. It's honestly kind of insane how much you can do inside the platform. So if you're building a brand, creating digital products, or just looking for a really powerful graphic design platform where you can experiment and create without limitations, I definitely recommend giving KITTL a try. You can try it for free, and if you decide to upgrade, you can use my code YaleYT to get 25% off your first month on any KITTL plan as a new user. I'll leave the link in the description so you can check it out. Now let's get back to designing. The second digital product beginners can easily create is wallpapers. This could be a phone wallpaper or even a desktop wallpaper because many people like customizing both their phones and their computers. Now here's a little trick you can use that makes this process even easier. If you've already created a design for printable wall art, you can actually reuse that same design and turn it into a wallpaper. So instead of starting from scratch, I'm simply going to take the wall art design we just created and copy it over to a new artboard that's sized for a wallpaper. For example, a common size for a phone wallpaper is 1170 by 2532 pixels, which fits many modern smartphones. For desktop wallpaper, a very common size is 1920 by 1080 pixels, which is the standard full HD screen size. You can create both versions so your customer has options depending on what device they're using. Also, since wallpapers are meant for screens and not printing, we don't really have to worry about DPI here. Once you're done, you can simply export the wallpaper as a PNG or JPEG and deliver the files to your customer. This is honestly one of the easiest ways to create multiple products for your shop because you're basically repurposing one design into another format. With just one design, you now have printable wall art and a wallpaper that you can also sell. I also tried changing the background just to switch things up and create a bit more variation. Of course, you can always design wallpapers from scratch if you want different styles, but if you already have a design that works well for wall art, there's really no reason not to turn it into a wallpaper as well. It's a really simple way to add another product to your shop without doing much extra work. The third beginner-friendly digital product you can create is printable greeting cards. Greeting cards are a great product idea because people are always looking for cards for different occasions, things like birthdays, weddings, baby showers, holidays, or even simple thank you notes. A really simple approach to greeting cards is to focus on short messages like happy birthday, thank you, or congratulations, and pair them with a small illustration or decorative element. When you think about greeting cards you see in stores, people usually buy them because of the design on the front, while the inside is often blank or has a short message so they can write their own note. That's why greeting cards are one of the easiest digital products to create. So let's go ahead and design one. Greeting cards are usually printed and folded in half, which means the final card becomes 5 by 7 inches. So the full design canvas before folding is 10 by 7 inches. Since we want this to print in high quality, we designed it at 300 dpi, which gives us a canvas size of 3000 by 2100 pixels. For this greeting card, there are going to be 2 pages, one for the front and back cover, and one for the inside of the card. I already designed my card here, and this one is a birthday card. One thing I did first was add a thin line in the middle of the artboard so I know exactly where the center is and can position the design properly. I'll remove this line later once the design is finished. For the front, I grabbed a few different fonts inside KITTL and used them to spell out happy birthday. I also added some decorative elements and placed shapes behind certain letters to add more visual interest. Then I slightly tilted some of the elements so the design feels a bit more playful and less rigid. For the inside of the card, I kept things simple. I used a single font and typed the message, "Hope you have the best day ever." Then changed the colors of each line so they match the color palette from the front. And that's pretty much the finished greeting card. When delivering printable greeting cards, you usually export the design as a 2-page PDF. The first page contains the front and back, and the second page contains the inside. So when someone prints it, they print the first page, flip the paper, print the second page on the back, and then fold it in half to create the card. Once you create a design like this, you can easily duplicate it and change the message. For example, you can turn it into a thank you card, an anniversary card, or a wedding card just by adjusting the text and colors. You can sell them individually or bundle multiple designs together. Another really cool thing you can do inside KITTL is create mockups directly from your design. So for example, if I select the artboard and add an image board, I can simply type a prompt describing what I want, and it generates a realistic mockup of my greeting card with my design already placed on it. That basically creates a product photo I could use for something like an Etsy listing. And that's it for these 3 beginner-friendly digital products. Hopefully this gives you some ideas of just how simple some digital products can be to create, especially when you start experimenting with different designs and formats. If you want to try designing products like these yourself, the tool I use in this video is KITTL. You can try it for free, and if you decide to upgrade, you can use my code YaleYT to get 25% off your first month. I'll leave the link in the description box so you can check it out. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It really helps my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!